looked at my face directly, and I was like, no. I don't know if you saw that glitch. That was like...
I was checking myself out.
I'm like, huh?
Because I got like... Because I like, once I started the countdown, I was like, oh, like, I'm excited to do this. Like, because I was like, it's my Monday, so I'm like really tired. And also I like was looking at my notes and I was like, oh my God, I have so much random, I need to take better notes.
It's
Anyway,
okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Lou.
And I'm Katie.
And you're listening to Files from the Other Side. This week we're opening up the files on...
Pirate Legends.
Hell fucking yeah.
So fucking stoked.
Yeah.
I love pirates. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I love pirates.
Like, who does not love a good pirate story? I don't know. They're very much, to me, culturally like... they're like cowboys or like...
yeah.
You know, like the Victorian era for women. Like, I feel like a lot of women like that Jane Eyre-esque, gothic type person. It's just like it feels like an archetype that just lives on.
Yeah. I like that you can liken them to cowboys too, because it's like, oh yeah, cowboys feel like land pirates. Like they're they come in, they swashbuckle, they take what they want, they leave. They get the silver, they start towns, they do whatever the fuck they want. And I also, who is it? I think did I hear this first in Kitchen Confidential by Tony Bourdain? I definitely heard one of our sommeliers talking about it, like, but like in the like he was like, we're pirates, like in the service industry, like we are pirates, and I was like, yes, we are, fucking are. It's great.
I, as a writer, feel like a bank robber sometimes. I feel like it's, but like the money is a story, not like actual money, but like sometimes I'm like, you go into like a public space or something and you hear everything that's happening around you, you perceive a certain way, and when you retell it, it's like that story is not just yours, like it's all of those people's, and so sometimes I feel like I'm thieving.
I mean, who doesn't want to be, who wants to, but who doesn't want to be like an old school bank robber, you know, like that's,
I could just imagine like the cartoon music following me as I'm scuttling out.
Yeah. That'd be great. The 1930s bank robber. So fun.
Well, we're beginning today our Pirate Legends with not pirates, but legends of the sea that almost like congruently happen. Not necessarily in terms of time frame, but in terms of just like history. Like,
yeah.
The sea happens to have these things also.
Yes, exactly. The sea contains these like legendary creatures like the Kraken. I didn't know the Kraken was Norse. I
guess I didn't either.
That was the first thing that they were like, this is a Norwegian thing, and I was like, really? Okay.
Interesting.
Did not know that. First described in the modern era in the travelogue by Francesco Negri, which is 1700. But there is like this Icelandic sea monster. I'm gonna fuck this up, but I'm gonna take my best guess. It's like Icelandic sea monster called the Hafgufa, which is, thank you. I tried. Which it's like probably based on, and that has earlier references in like I think in Snorri's prose or poetic Edda.
Okay.
So there's potentially but that actually, the Icelandic sea monster is actually potentially a specialized feeding technique amongst whales known as trap feeding. So it's like a kind of a crazy thing, and that's like a thing that I kept coming up to was like sometimes it's like this was classified under whales, but the Kraken is actually a giant squid, said to appear in the Norwegian Sea, and he like can drag ships down. That description is from 1753, credited to the Danish bishop Eric. I think it's Eric. I don't have his actual first name written down. Ponto Pippidon.
Cool.
That was a fun name. The man-hunting octopus is starts in French fiction with the novelist Victor Hugo. I don't know if you guys
Okay.
know that name.
Yeah.
Um, he introduced the group. Okay, the I actually cannot read my handwriting. Giant octopus of Guernsey,
Okay.
basically. That's
Okay.
where Victor Hugo says that 1866, but then that leads to Jules Verne's depiction of the Kraken, which yeah. And fun etymology around it. Norwegian krake meaning malformed or overgrown crooked tree. And it's supposed to be figuratively named for like a crooked tree, or its derivative to drag, which like because it drags down the ships. So
Interesting.
giant squid monster, apparently Norse in origin. Who knew?
That's fascinating. And actually, like, I have a point, like, in my mermaids slash sirens thing that might come in handy for when we think about the Kraken. So let me get
Do
started on,
tell.
yeah, let me get started on that first. So mermaids and sirens, I'm kind of lumping them together. I lump it all together though in this
I
little
feel like
thought piece.
mermaids are from sirens originally. Like I feel like that
Yeah.
like culturally
Yeah.
we like derivative. You're gonna school me. I don't know, but that's my guess.
Okay. Mermaids are an aquatic being with a human torso and a tail of a fish. Witnessing a mermaid at sea, like a sailor witnessing this, was an omen, good or bad, depending on the culture, but B, the temperament of the ship and the crew and the captain, right? So, like, I guess, like, when I think about the Kraken, this is kind of where my point was going, was that, like, with mermaids, it's, like, neither here nor there, like, if they're bad or good. It's just about, like, the circumstance a little bit, like, who makes up the ship and, like, what meaning do they make out of, like, that witnessing. That's all I was going to say about that. Like, it's just interesting, like, that thing, like, paranormal things tend to do that. But reports of mermaids go back to as early as like Greek and Arab sightings around 500 AD and continue well into the 1900s cross-culturally. So seeing a mermaid type creature is a cross-cultural experience, so long as people have connection to the water, right? And these beings come in many forms with many names all over the world. So I would say, like, when we think about a mermaid, we can just kind of lump it into, say, merfolk, because a lot of different types of creatures, like the siren, exist within that category of being. Sirens are from a particular Greek tale about Aeolus, a river god, who has sirens as the offspring with a muse. And they're pretty prevalent in Greek literature.
Yeah.
But they are half bird, half women sea nymphs. And they have a particular power to charm and lure people with their song. So in Greek mythology, I can only assume, and I didn't look into what it meant, but I can only assume that the meaning to be made from a siren being there is very particular, versus like a mermaid whose general being is just kind of neither here nor there. It just exists. However, sirens being a derivative, like all these other things would be, of a mermaid, or just considering there are many types of merfolk, I just think that's so cool. Like, I think that, like, the possibilities open up, like, kind of exponentially depending on where you're geographically located next to water. And I just think that's, like, and, you know, without colonization and, like, Christianity trying to pillage literally every culture in the world, we could have insanely cool like, sea creature myths that we don't even know. You know? Like, I think we have these, like, popular stories, which I was going to talk about in this. The most popular story we have about mermaids comes from Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, which gets animated into a Disney movie in 1989 and then remade in 2023. The hugest difference, and you know there is a difference, between the Disney movie and Andersen's take on it. The story obviously is more tragic than the Disney retelling.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then when you also analyze the story itself, it's almost 200 years after that story was published, so considering your historical context, the story also changes. So, like, no matter what, that story, how he wrote it, like, in a modern context, like, we can't read it the same as how he might have meant it to be read by people at that time.
Yeah.
Because here's the kicker: the plot of The Little Mermaid, Hans Christian Andersen's tale, is that, like, I kind of got this off Wikipedia because I didn't like read fully the whole book or whatever, but the plot kind of comes from this idea that the mermaid asks her grandmother if humans can live forever. Her grandmother explains that humans have a much shorter lifespan than mermaids because mermaids live around 300 years, but that humans have an eternal soul that lives on in heaven, while mermaids turn into sea foam at death and cease to exist. So you can see, like, why that historical impact's important, because you're like, oh, he's talking about, like, the virtuous heaven argument of Christianity and a soul contract. Like, where are you going to go and what are you going to do on earth to fulfill that contract? So, like, obviously clear heavy-handed Christianity. The mermaid is both, like, in love with humanity but also jealous of it. And I guess from the information that she's given about human souls, heaven is both a vice and a virtuous endeavor because she isn't human. And the question is never really about her loving a particular human. It's about her being able to accept another being's way to be enough to live and die accordingly. The way the story plays out is that she takes a virtuous path and becomes a different immortal being, by the way, like completely different. They call her like this spirit of air. Very weird. So, like, in the end, she's not even human or a mermaid, but she still is granted immortality, and it's kind of weird because it's like, oh, but once she's done living that immortal life, she can still die and go to heaven. So, like, it's like they still give her the ticket to heaven, but they're like, because she's supernatural, we don't actually know how to treat this. And so it's like confusing how he ends it. But, like, when you look at the Disney version, it's, like, hilarious because it's, like, it becomes this thing where it's, like, well, she's now just a Disney princess who's half mermaid sometimes, half human sometimes, or mermaid sometimes, human sometimes, loving and suffering as both who she was born to be and then who she became after. And I think that's obviously, like, more relatable and more modern of a take to have. And, like, I don't know about your childhood growing up, but The Little Mermaid was, like, the shit.
That's for sure. Like, Ariel's my favorite Disney princess.
Like, she slaps. Like, she slapped for so many. And you're a Pisces, so I can see why she slaps so hard.
Right. What did I do? I took myself on a hot date recently, and I went to the ferry building, and I had this giant purple bow in my hair, and I was like texting pictures like to Amy, and I was like, you can't see it, but there's a giant purple bow in my hair. And she was like, going to the ferry building with a giant bow is so Little Mermaid coded. And I was like, I internalized it. Yeah. I thought she committed suicide in the Hans.
She did.
Okay,
she did,
cool.
but because the suicide was virtuous, she's still granted immortality. What it says is that she did it for, like, a good reason, like, because she was given an instruction to kill the prince, and she decides not to, so she throws herself overboard. And what it says is because she sought immortality so hard that there's this different type of immortal being that, like, welcomed her because they are a type of being who seeks immortality. And then those beings, like, those group of beings gave her an immortal turnout, which was like, yeah, you can go to human heaven. Like,
wild.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like,
it's been a long time since I read that story.
It's very strange to me. Like, I guess, like, in the end, when I was, like, writing about all this and, like, wanting to talk about it, the one thing that I couldn't get past was, like, sure, it's all tragic, but, like, it's confusing. Like, it was so confusing. So I was like, I don't really know what his purpose was in exploring this with the public at the time, I guess.
Well, yeah, because, he's Danish, but, like, I have this book by, like, retellings of the Brothers Grimm, like, and it's a Philip Pullman joint, actually, and he's, like, but he's, like, citing the sources and, like, where they come from and stuff like that, but he was talking about how, like, the cultural things, like, a lot of these stories are actually just teaching obedience.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of what I got out of it. It's just that when you as a modern reader take that out of a current equation, like, because the story can't force obedience now, like, as a reader, like, what else do you take from it that might be helpful for you? If that's what you're looking for, other than it's just, like, a tragic story. But, like, no, I totally see that, though. I see that. And
Yeah.
the last point that I had about all this, because I'll end my spiel on this, I don't want to go on forever. The curiouser point for me, like as a paranormal investigator, isn't whether these things exist, like the Kraken or the mermaids, right?
Mm.
I think the storytelling is real enough. It's about what the stories say regarding the mermaid, siren, or other merfolk legends, like what these legends say about their having meddled in human life. So mermaids are half human, and the possibilities of mingling with humanity are more so than if a being wasn't part human. And that's just a curious point for me, like paranormally, like I guess the possibilities of like paranormal exploration open up in that regard, because you think like, oh, maybe it's supposed to happen. But then they're restricted again once you think about how you have the experience. It has to be near water, like on a shore, like so you have to live near the water, or you're in open water to monitor these things, and that's an even harder feat for an average human to do these days.
Yeah.
So it's like interesting to me, like the pirate thing. It's like a subgroup of like experience in the paranormal. That's just fascinating to me. And I have this paranormal sticker that says, what does it say? It says, like, I love mermaids the way, like, Bigfoot people, or I paranormal investigate mermaids the way people paranormal investigate for Bigfoot. Or something like that. I'd have to, maybe I'll post the sticker. It's from Liminal, but it's, like, super funny because it falls into the Bigfoot camp of, like, is it, like, so real that we can get as, like, close to a creature? Like, discovering a creature? But, like, I just think the more curiouser point is about the human exchange and, like, what it builds up over time in our stories. So it's, like, it's not so much that you want to capture a mermaid. It's, like, what you can spin the tale about to, like, make meaning for people, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
No.
I actually have like a huge heart for mermaids. That's why I wanted to do it.
I love I was so jealous when you were like, I want to do mermaids. I was like, fine. I also wanted to do mermaids, but fine. Like, I love, because I get you said it. You got the nail on the head. Pisces, and also love just the Little Mermaid was like the shit growing. Oh my god, Cinema Therapy does an episode about the Little Mermaid. It was so funny. So the therapist is like, okay, I want to talk about body dysmorphia and hoarding. And I was like, I'm a hoarder that had body dysmorphia. Like,
that is so funny.
What the fuck? This is crazy. No, I like really internalized. Oh yeah, I love her. Love her. Love her. Yeah.
Well, now let's get into the pirates, I think.
Oh, the pirates. I picked Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet because I love the HBO show Our Flag Means Death. That's essentially...
I haven't seen it and I want to so bad.
It's so gay. It's
I've heard that.
super queer. It's great. Oh my god, Black Pete and Lucius. I think Lucius is his name. He's played by Nathan Foad. I like remember the actor's name, not necessarily the character, but oh my god. Black Pete and I think Lucius have like the healthiest relationship I've like maybe seen on screen ever. It's so good. Oh my god, my boo thing. There's so many good people in that. Like I have a celebrity crush on Joel Fry. Nat Faxon plays this character. Like these are all like supporting characters. But Rhys Darby is doing the Lord's work as Stede Bonnet, aka the Gentleman Pirate, and then of course you get Taika Waititi playing Blackbeard, and it's just like it's just so hot and just they are fully lovers in the TV show. I don't know about in real life. They were friends in real life though, which is really exciting to me to find out. Like here's one of my notes. Fucking freaking out. Israel Hands is real. What? I was like, I didn't expect Izzy Hands to be real from the show. The way that guy says twat. Perfection. I don't know that actor's name. But anyways. So, It was fun. It was fun to see all the shit that they like got right, and like that is like actually super historically like some of it of course is fictionalized, all that good shit, but actually significant chunks of it are historically accurate. Like fucking Blackbeard's real name, Edward Teach. He was born around 1680 in Bristol, England, to like a fairly affluent family. He potentially was a privateer apprentice in Jamaica during the War of Spanish Succession. I actually forgot to look up what years that took place. He starts piracy. Some sources say, so officially, like, they say 1717 through 1718 were his active years. So he was only active. I think that's, like, actively, like, captain of his own ships, though. Because for sure in 1717, he takes command of La Concorde and renames it the Queen Anne's Revenge. But there's one source that I saw that said that he started pirating in 1713 under Ben Hornigold. And I did see that a lot, like that he started with Ben Hornigold pirating. Hornigold retires in 1717, around the same time that Blackbeard gets his first his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, and he famously he would dress in all black. He was very good at like psychological warfare and would like dress in all, but he had braids in his like big bushy black beard. Apparently, I don't know if this is real or not. This seems very impossible.
Okay.
But a few sources say that he would put like slow burning fuses, like either in his beard or under his hat, to make it look like there was smoke like coming out. Like,
that's so weird.
Right, like it's just like it's a scare tactic, right? Like so that he, you know, apparently a lot of like with his like reputation preceding him, a lot of people just like fucking end up oh my god, surrendering on sight. They're like, I'm not even gonna try to fight this fucking Blackbeard. I'm not even gonna try to fucking fight him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he was able to take on like warships, and fucking like, you know, what did he do? He did a running duel. He did a running duel with a warship, and instead of outrunning it, and British lost. And then he allows them to retreat because they didn't have any value. He was like, you have nothing, we can take, fine, whatever. But that like earned him a lot of notoriety. Terrorized the Caribbean, supposedly capturing about 12 ships and pillaging as many as 25. Yeah, in 1718, the royal governor Woodes Rogers killed or drove all pirates out of Nassau. Nassau in New Providence in the Bahamas was the legit Republic of Pirates. That's also was very exciting to find out that there was an actual Republic of Pirates. So he, in May 1718, he blockaded Charleston, South Carolina, pillaged every ship in the harbor, took hostages from the Crowley until his demands for medical supplies were met. Hostages were returned unharmed. In June 1718. Okay, so this is with June 1718. This is actually, he did this with Stede Bonnet. He runs the Queen's Anne Revenge aground at Topsail Inlet and leaves on another ship to downsize the crew, because he had like a fleet at this point. Actually, it's called a flotilla, but he had like a few ships. Stede Bonnet was in charge of one of them. Actually, he takes command. They meet Stede Bonnet. He gives him command, like he takes over command of his ship because Stede Bonnet is injured and his crew doesn't like him that much.
That's hilarious.
So he takes over command of the ship with Stede's fucking thing, gives it back to him at one point, and then takes it back after that. There's more in like in Bonnet's section on this. But in June of 1718 at Topsail Inlet, he downsizes the crew. He takes everything from Bonnet's Revenge. That was the name of Bonnet's fucking ship. They both go to Bath, North Carolina to get pardons from North Carolina. They both leave to go get pardons from Governor Charles Eden. Bonnet stays behind to get clearance to go to St. Thomas. He wants to go privateer, which is like legal pirating for the crown. So like
Stupid, but yeah.
it's a wartime thing. So like they get to like he gets to be a pirate, but officially for the crown and pillage only Spanish ships instead of everybody because Bonnet was pillaging everybody.
He just wanted to continue pillaging. Yeah.
He just wanted to just continue to be a pirate. So Bonnet stays behind to get special clearance to go privateering. Blackbeard takes all the valuables and all the good shit and maroons Bonnet's crew. Sorry, it's a pirate ship. It's a crew, not a team. Blackbeard goes to so some sources say that he goes and he tries to settle in Planter Life, and then that doesn't last very long. It lasts exactly until the gold runs out, and then he goes back to Ocracoke Island in South Carolina, another kind of like pirate safe haven. And then, or actually North Carolina, because the residents turn to the Virginia governor because they don't trust their governor Eden because they think that he's being bribed by Blackbeard. So they go to the Virginia governor Alexander Spots for protection, and Spotswood places a bounty on Blackbeard's head and sends one Lieutenant Robert Maynard after him. And on November 22nd, 1718, Maynard and his crew sneak up on Blackbeard. Blackbeard fires at Maynard's ship, and Maynard sends like half of his like crew below the ship to make it seem like he got them, and then ambushes them when they try to come onto the ship. And Blackbeard tries to come on the ship, is overtaken, shot 5 times, and stabbed 20 times before he's decapitated. And Maynard puts Blackbeard's head on the bowsprit of his ship as a warning to other pirates.
Damn.
Yeah, 13 of Blackbeard's crew was hanged at Williamsburg, Virginia, and then as he hands his reel, what is the next thing in my note? And then I have more. Gold encounter Stede Bonnet, landowner, military officer. That don't have a year. September of 1717 is when
they cross paths first time.
They cross paths. Yeah, and then they go their separate ways for a little. Okay, so we'll get into Stede Bonnet. So Stede Bonnet, aka the gentleman pirate.
That's hilarious to me.
It's really fucking funny. He does pirating very differently than everybody else does. So he is like English, but he's born in Barbados. He inherited 400 acres of land in Barbados after his father passed away when he's like 6. So that's why he's like landed gentry. That's why he's like the gentleman pirate. One of the richest and highest members of Bridgeton society at the time. He married this woman, Mary Allenby, on November 21st, 1709, when he was like 19, and they had 4 kids. 3 survive, and they were all under the age of 5 when he abandoned his family to become a pirate.
Great.
I mean, 400 acres of land, they're fine. But
it's just annoying.
No, yeah, it's just some bullshit white man stuff. So spring of 1717, he turns to piracy. He commissioned this is the first weird thing about Stede Bonnet. He commissions his ship instead of just using a privateering ship and then turning it into a pirate ship. He built a pirate ship.
It's cool.
Out of scratch. Love it. Okay. He pirated off the East Coast for a bit before going down south, because in the Caribbean is actually where all the money is. What was the other some weird shit? He paid his crew wages. It wasn't just spoils from plunder. They actually got wages. Another interesting thing that he did. So he attacks a Spanish man of war, a big warship, but the Revenge is badly damaged. The crew is injured. He's injured. So he goes down to Nassau. That's in September of 1717 in Nassau. He meets Hornigold and Blackbeard. Blackbeard takes over command of the Revenge. And then they go plunder a whole bunch. December of 1717, he and Blackbeard separate. Bonnet sails to the Caribbean. And March 28th of 1718, he fails to capture this 4-ton merchant ship called the Protestant Caesar in Honduras, and the crew is like, fuck this. They actually run into Blackbeard again not too long after that at Turnip Atoll, and his crew deserts him for Blackbeard, and Blackbeard imprisons Bonnet, gives command of the Revenge to Richards, some henchmen of his, and so it's under Richard's command that they take over the Adventure, which he puts Izzy Hands in charge of. Okay, so that's part of their flotilla. They have a bunch of other smaller ships, but this is like the bigger ships, I guess. Some of the sloops. I don't know what the fuck a sloop is. It's a one mast sailing ship. Anyways, blockade in Charlestown. Queen Anne's Revenge is badly damaged. They all go to the top sail inlet. Queen Anne's Revenge gets run aground. Blackbeard gives Bonnet command of the Revenge again. And then they go to get their pardons. Bonnet stays back to get his clearance. Blackbeard. So this is when Stede Bonnet's getting his clearance, and then he comes back to his fucking supplies gone from the Revenge and his crew marooned. So they, hoping to preserve his pardon and still be a pirate, Bonnet resumes piracy under the name Captain Thomas and renames his ship the Royal James. He like pretends to trade the first couple times he runs into people, and then like just gives up the charade. Raids 11 ships after his pardon. The Royal James is badly damaged. He goes to Cape Fear River in North Carolina, gets repairs, but they take so long to do the repairs that Charleston gets wind that there's a pirate ship. And Governor Robert Johnson of South Carolina authorizes Colonel William Rhett to go capture the Revenge, which he absolutely does. It's like there's this battle at the Cape Fear River. It takes out, both ships are aground for like 6 hours of this whole thing. And then ultimately Captain Rhett wins the day. He gets Bonnet and the guy Harriet, who was he was the captain of the Adventure, that like was like, I'll just give up my ship. He goes to the town marshal. They take him back to Charleston, and they stay at the town marshal Nathaniel Partridge's house, and the crew is put into the public watch house. Bennett and Harriet escape with a slave and an indigenous person who wanted to be pirates to Sullivan's Island, which is exciting because that's where Paul F. Tompkins' wife is from, and I know that name from just being a fan of Paul F. Tompkins. So I was like, oh, Sullivan's Island. There's some crazy shit that goes down there. So Governor Johnson sends a posse after them. They eventually get him, and Bonnet's crew was sentenced to hanging on November 5th, 1718, and they were hung on November 8th. And Bonnet, brought to trial 2 days later, sentenced Bonnet to hanging on November 12th. And on December 10th, 1717, he is hung and buried in a nearby marshland with his crew below the low water mark with no gravestone.
Fascinating.
Yep.
That's so interesting and like so different from what I have to say about my pirate.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Like, it's so different. Like, not in the pirating sense, but
I mean, she was like pillaging and plundering and shit like that too, but like everybody dies, like in a gangster movie, everybody fucking dies.
Yeah. So I chose Zheng Yi Sao, which Zheng Yi Sao is also known under Qing Shi. So like the names, I have to explain the name thing. So let me just go through it. Zheng Yi Sao was born in the Guangdong province in China in 1775 and dies 67 years later. So in early 1892, she marries a pirate named Zhang Yi. So her name literally translates to wife of Zhang Yi. Qing Shi is a similar spelling or way to say her name, and it translates to widow of Cheng One. Or like Cheng the First. I put one. Sorry, I mean the first. Not Cheng One. So Zhang Yi and like Cheng the First are similar spellings for the same pirate husband. Right? Mm. So like this becomes just like sort of an interesting point about her, because to this day we refer to her based on her husband's title rather than an original name that was given to her at birth or describes her character.
Mm.
She was so low born that she didn't have a name until she climbed the ranks of the Red Fleet with Zhang Yi. So Zhang Yi, her pirate husband, inherited some pirates after the death of his cousin. So he stood with the Red Fleet as a part of a pirate federation in China, 200 ships deep.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, these were huge fleets. Because the Pirate Federation had like 7 different colors, but the Red Fleet was the biggest fleet. And this is the scope of the pirate we're talking about. So Zhang Yi ends up falling overboard 5 years later. So Zhang Yi Sao stays in good graces as a leader in the family of pirates, because she had sons with these pirates and she's having relationships with these other family, like, related pirates. So she inherits her husband's command of some of these Red Fleet ships, while the Red Fleet official command comes from Zhang Bao. At the height of Zhang Bao's relationship with Zhang Yisao, they're both intimate and also commanding the fleet, the Red Fleet, together, advising each other on all things, is what it says. So it's like, to me, it's like one of those stories where it's like, oh, he's the leader, but like she's doing all the work.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between 1808 and 1809, which is a little bit later than your time period, in China, the pirate fleet activates a few battles to clear passageways in the water for the pirates, and rampaging and raiding towns, etc., pirate activities. Leadership in the Federation changes a bit due to deaths and fleet loss during this time, but comes to a head with a tussle with the Portuguese pirates toward the end of 1809. So Zhang Bao and Zhang Yisao escape the blockade of the Portuguese pirates and just like government stuff, with minimal casualties, and they freely enter the South China Sea. There is a final surrender of the pirates to the Qing dynasty in 1810,